What is something you would say to a young woman who's trying to grow in her career?
Two things. Be bold enough to stand out. And then the second thing is let's just abolish this thought of imposter syndrome.
Welcome to another episode of Live the Grace Life. Listen, we are so excited because we have Dr. Wendy Wilson in the house. And listen, I don't normally dress up for a podcast, but because of the topic we're talking about today with executive presence, I had to show up in executive presence, okay? But listen, let's welcome Dr. Wendy Wilson. She's the author of 101 Career Planning and Executive Presence Strategies. So let's welcome to the show, Dr. Wendy Wilson.
Thank you so much. I'm indeed honored, and it's a pleasure to always be in your company. Thank you for having me on your podcast today.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So let's dive into this. So first off, how are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for asking.
Okay. All right. So let's dive into this. So what inspired? Now, I always say that she is the epitome of executive presence.
Thank you.
What inspired that?
Yes, it's a great question. I don't know that I've ever had that posed to me what my inspiration was, but I've always been focused and understood the value of developing as a professional and what that looks like. And it's not just isolated to the C-suite or an executive role. It could be entry level. How we enter into spaces, people then make decisions about whether they want to continue to engage or interact with us, or if they want us to have a permanent presence. Mm-hmm. And that could be whether you're an entrepreneur like yourself and engaging with clients, or you work an 8 to 5 position. That organization is making decisions about you and whether you align with them and what their mission is. So going back to your original question, executive presence, and we can talk about this a little in greater detail, is really a behavior.
Okay.
And it's a set of decisions that will allow you to position yourself and yield success, whatever industry or profession that you're in. So that was always important to me. I've had that exampled throughout my entire life, whether my mom or my dad or the mentors that I had, just the amazing people who exampled and normalized that behavior. So that's why as I evolved in my business, I wanted to then hone in on that topic and that theme, and just share with others as to why it is so important.
Okay, so let me say this to you all. So I've been privileged to be able to attend one of her summits and events, and watching her be able to teach this to other women is so empowering to see her be able to not just be the example, but also try to empower others to do the same. So let's talk about that. Some of these summits that you've done in the past and empowering women. Can you dive into the impact of that?
Sure. Well, let me just, I want to stress the point that it's for men as well.
Okay.
Yeah. My summit that you attended, of course, were majority women.
Okay.
And I was certainly glad you provided a service for me in terms of your exemplary videography and photography services. So we did have some men in the room, we want to expand that demographic because, as I shared earlier, it really is a behavior. And so that particular summit, we do a deeper dive in the 3 pillars of executive presence, which is, of course, the importance of having healthy emotional intelligence, the ability to effectively communicate, and then the importance of professional aesthetic, how you were showing up. Because again, people are making decisions about us and they have limited information. It's oftentimes 2 minutes or less. So how you are presenting to them, then again, as I shared earlier, determines if we want to pursue or have further engagement or dialogue. Yes. So I was really excited about that, the number of attendees. And looking forward to scheduling one. We'll probably do a master class and then have the greater summit in 2026.
Okay, so I kind of got really excited and I didn't even dive into her business. So she owns a business called W2 Communications, right?
Yes, yes.
So tell us about that. Tell us about your business.
Certainly. So W2 Communications is a boutique consulting firm, and what we do is specialize in executive coaching and professional and leadership training.
Okay.
And so I've worked with individuals, of course. I just completed a contract, a federal contract with USDA,
Okay.
did professional training development for them for about 2 years. And what oftentimes organizations miss, and it's really glaring in front of them, but I understand oftentimes, and particularly in this economy, we have to make very specific and strategic decisions as it relates to the sustainability and the longevity. But I do not want business owners or people who are in those decision-making seats to overlook the value and the importance of professional development with their employees.
Okay.
Everybody wants a return on their investment. Oftentimes people make the decision or assume that people are coming in with a set of skills in addition to whatever that discipline that they have or specialization is, that then they will then be able to successfully perform in those roles. And we want that to happen. But then we as owners and managers and supervisors, we too have a responsibility in that development process.
Yeah.
So at W2 Communications, we come in, listen to some of the challenges that you have. We also listen to the successes and then have a conversation about how we can either further enhance those successes or look at what those challenges are and how we can then improve them as it relates to your employee relations and engagement.
Okay. All right. So let's kind of I know we've been kind of so into the business. So let me dive into something a little bit fun. What's something that many people may not know about you that is kind of maybe quirky or something that's like
That's a really great question.
like I know she's a book reader. She's always talking about how she loves her books. So go ahead.
I don't know if some may say it's quirky. I don't know, but some people are surprised by this. I really am an introvert.
Oh.
I really, yeah. And the older I get, the more I have to work on, I have to kind of force myself to immerse myself in social settings.
Yes.
And that's, I've talked to people about. They said that's very normal. We change, and we should as we grow older and we have different experiences. But I can literally go into my home after work on a Friday and not emerge until Monday morning. Go into serious seclusion and
I'm laughing because I do the same.
Oh, do you? Okay. So it's not so quirky. Yeah.
No,
Thank goodness for Instacart, and they deliver groceries and all of those many things that we need and are those essentials in life.
Yes.
But yes, and so that many people think because of my role at Albany State University, and because I'm constantly having to engage with people and interact and help support their systems and then also help them to kind of address those challenges, that I'm desirous to always be in social settings, and so that is not the case. That is not always the case. So when opportunity permits, and I the older I get, I make the opportunity happen. I can go a week and retreat and not have any contact with people.
And I think that is so important, though. So for those that don't know, Dr. Wendy also, in addition to being an author and being a business owner, she's the chief of staff and vice president of
University Relations
at Albany State University, at HBCU here in Albany, Georgia. So she has a lot on her plate. And I don't blame her wanting on the weekends to be like, listen, phone off. I don't want to talk to nobody else.
Yes.
And I think that helps us show up a little bit better during the week.
It does.
When you talk about executive presence and being able to tie that in and knowing when to rest, knowing when to retreat, because we can't always be on.
Sure.
It's one of those things.
Yeah, thank you. We're challenged with that, and I think part of it is because society society is always on. And so then we then internalize that and then interpret that is that we too should always be on. But it comes at a very high cost.
Yeah.
And so I hear people say, I have to find time to recharge or to relax or to rest. And I absolutely categorically think that that's a falsehood. You should not find time. It is an absolute in your life. It really is. You need to recharge, you need to recalibrate, you need to think, you need to assess, and you absolutely should schedule time to do that. Because otherwise you'll start spinning, and then we start seeing, you know, all of these mental health challenges as a result of not making the time. Yes.
That's so good. I think that's so important, not only in business, because whether you're in a university role or owning a business, there are always things happening.
Sure.
There are always things that you can respond to, from emails to calls. I love my clients, but sometimes on a Sunday they'll call and I'm just like, I can't answer today.
Yes.
My energy is low. It's just one of those things, and I'm with my family. So, but tying this back into Dr. Wendy. So I think it's so important. She has written a book on 101 career planning and executive presence strategies, and this is available on...
Yes, so you can get it at my website or you can get it on Amazon.
On
Yes.
Amazon. So make sure you pick up a copy of this. We'll put a link on the screen and a QR code where it goes to the Amazon page. But tell us about the inspiration of this book.
Sure. So it's an amalgamation of a lot of my experiences, practices that have yielded to or resulted in my overall success. But I would have to say at the core of the inspiration, I started experiencing a theme. And just I would speak to clients, or just if I would be doing training, and after engaging with people for a period of time, or even sometimes initial meeting, and they would say, where can I get your book from? Where can I find your book? And my response is, I don't have a book. And many times people would say, I just assumed that you would have written one.
Yeah, Dr. Wendy.
Outside of that, well, let me tell you, the dissertation it leaves you shell shocked, so you don't want to pick up a pen or see a computer for a while. I did recover from that, thankfully. So, and I kept hearing that often, and I said, maybe there's something to this. And in addition to that, those experiences as an entrepreneur, people want to have something that affirms your expertise. Yes. And so I then saw value of just taking time and documenting. And I wanted the whatever it was that I wrote and then produced to be, of course, of value. But again, we talked about this fast-paced society. You and I are lovers of reading, and you know, I can spend the whole weekend starting a book and then completing a book. Everybody may not always have that luxury, or that just may not be their interest to do that. So I wanted the book to be more of a tool and a guide, if you will, and something that individuals could oftentimes refer to when they're preparing for an opportunity or a job interview, or they're having a challenge in the work environment, entry level, but not having gained the necessary school tools or knowledge that you need. Schools do the best that they can in terms of providing an education. But what we're now hearing as it relates to employers is that, yes, you produced a very great biologist or an accountant, but they're lacking, I don't call them soft skills, I call them those essential skills that are necessary so that they can then not only survive, but thrive in the workforce. An executive order just came out probably earlier this year as it relates to workforce readiness. And then holding institutions accountable for that. So I believe, and based upon the reviews, and certainly much of it is foundational to my overall success in my profession, that the book will help those individuals, again, as I say, whether they're entry level all the way to the C-suite. So that was the inspiration behind the book, being able to give a tool to someone that they could constantly refer to, whatever stage they may be in their professional presence, to help guide and navigate.
Okay, so let's dive into this, because one of the things that that Dr. Wendy kind of mentioned too. So I want to kind of tie this into entrepreneurs or even people who work in the marketplace in some shape or form. How writing a book almost places you as an expert in your particular field, and how important it is for you to, if you want to, I like to say, dominate in your industry, you have to have something, obviously, that is from you, that comes from your heart, but that can represent exactly what you're teaching about. And so Dr. Wendy has done this with this book. But I got to ask you, did you, I don't know much of your story beyond Albany State University, but what was your journey like? I'm sure there were challenges that brought you to say, hey, I'm going through some interesting things on the way. I want to help other people with this book.
Sure.
Is there any story or any moment that this may have inspired this book?
Yeah. So I have countless ones, but you having asked that question right now, one immediately came to mind. It was a conversation. My mother is no longer here, but the wealth of knowledge and love that she poured into me still resonates. But I remember it was early in my career, and prior to higher education, I was in human resources.
Okay.
And I was really excited about this new role that I had. And that this person had taken a chance on me. It was, again, entry level and new, had the credentials, but didn't necessarily have the requisite experience as it relates to human resource management.
Okay.
And probably about maybe 6 months or maybe a year into the role, was having a conversation with my mom, and I was expressing my frustration. And she said, "What's going on? Tell me specifically the challenges that you're having." And I said, "Well, I'm disappointed. I was looking for my supervisor to be able to pour into me and to mentor me and to coach. And I'm learning that she has major deficits in that area in terms of just leadership, and I'm just profoundly disappointed." And my mother said something that just really, just at the time, it stopped me cold. And she said, basically, stop placing your expectations on people who may be unable to fulfill them. And what you're looking for in other people, develop in yourself.
Yes.
Be your own mentor, be your own coach. And she was not saying that it's not important to have those people around you, but stop placing titles and expectations on people when we don't have their full story. Yeah. And so what we often encounter in various workplaces and environments these spaces that we walk in as professionals, is that we place these expectations on individuals because they have a title. And we then expect that surely HR and the hiring team fully vetted you to bring all of the skills and the understanding and to be able to deal with different scenarios. And that doesn't always happen. Yeah. And so then what are you going to do in this particular case? So what are you going to do, Wendy? You saw that there were some things that you wanted her to have and possess as a leader, and she doesn't have them. So now what? Are you going to stay in a state of disappointment? Or whatever it is that you see that she should have, what are you going to develop internally so that the next person who may well approach you the way you've approached her, because there's another Wendy out there with that same expectation. And then how are you going to respond and deliver, and more importantly, show up for that person?
Wow. Now that's powerful, y'all. Because it's so true. I think sometimes the reality is that most people, we have expectations on our leaders.
Sure.
And the people, whether in any sector that you're in, you're expecting them to show up in the way you think they should show up. But a lot of times they're lacking professional development.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They're lacking the skills to even be able to lead. And just because someone has a title doesn't mean that they know how to lead.
Indeed.
And those are things that I have learned and I've struggled with too.
Okay.
And so that's why I resonate. And I know there are many people who are watching that resonate with that too, because the reality is that this is why professional development is so important. We go through different stories and moments of life where we're looking, because I talked about this on another podcast with someone. He was Warren Burke. He's an actor, and he wanted certain people in the industry that we watch on TV to mentor him, but he realized when he got up close, they weren't interested. They weren't trying to pour. And so he had to kind of try to figure this out. And I think all of us, in some shape or form, we have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And how do we make ourselves better for those who will be under our leadership, who will want to glean from us? And it's a growing experience.
Sure.
And so Dr. Wendy has written this book, and she's put her heart into this. She's put her soul into this because there are situations that she can relate to that you may be going through now. How do I get to the next place in my career level? And you have an example here through her book. You may not be able to talk to her personally. Like one day you gonna be able to schedule a consultation and pay full price. Don't be coming to Dr. Wendy talk about there's a payment plan. I'm just playing. No, but seriously, we write these books because we want to help people.
Yes.
And so Dr. Wendy has done that. How has faith shaped your approach to leadership, writing, and career advancement?
Sure. It's a part of my daily walk.
Yeah.
I've had a wonderful life and hope to have many, many more years to be able to receive all that life has to offer and certainly gift my talents and offerings to the world. Not to say, talk about professional aesthetic and effective communication, and of course at the core of all of that, emotional intelligence. And people make so many assumptions about you, just initial meeting or how you speak or your background, but those assessments don't always, or observations don't always align with the 3 o'clock in the morning conversations that you have with the Creator. Yeah. So my faith is, again, I said it, a daily walk. It happens moment by moment. I've had some losses, major losses in my life, and still standing. I've had some experiences that have made my knees buckle, still standing. So just very grateful for all of those things, certainly the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the horror moments as well, because we don't get through life without having those. But so appreciative as to the people and the opportunity and the experiences that God has placed in my life and continues to place in my life. And so my ask of the Creator now is, and the universe, is to show me how wonderful this can be, and to give me all of the tools that you've placed in me and that you continue to place into me, so that I can have a greater impact and show my appreciation to the blessing that this life is.
Yeah. And it's so true. I think what Dr. Wendy said in the beginning is that a lot of times if we're in a particular role, or people have used to seeing us in a certain placement, they'll automatically assume certain things about us.
Yes.
Without necessarily even seeing us as a person. And so I try my best, because I don't ever want anybody to think I'm this, but not that I care too much about, but I don't want anybody to think I'm too up here, that I can't talk to you,
Sure.
that type of thing, or that I'm not approachable, or that I don't have a story that may resonate with you. And that's the thing that I just think is so important in these podcasts as people are listening, because those moments of transparency are what heal people.
Absolutely.
Those moments are what allow people to see themselves in your story. And those are the things that help people, like, okay, so Dr. Wendy, she dealt with that too.
Yes.
I can relate to that, especially, and I've heard you weren't necessarily, in the conversation, but other people have spoken so well of you, where you have mentored them, you've been on call for them, and they relied on you for your wisdom, because they were trying to navigate the challenges of leadership,
Sure.
trying to be, obviously, these were women, so women in leadership, just trying to navigate on how can okay, I need Dr. Wendy. I need Dr. Wendy. And so you've done that. You pour it back into other people. And so what's one lesson or principle every young professional should carry with them?
Yeah. So thank you for sharing the questions with me. When I first saw that one, I was like, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely a good one. Many organizations and companies are now, this is the first time in history where you have all generations, and please don't ask me to rattle them all off, are in the workplace, right? And the dynamic is just, it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because the way in which we approach work and how to engage with one another is very different, it's very nuanced. And then we're all, with these this level of diversity in terms of thought and then experiences. So to your question, to the young professional entering this space, with that thought in mind, and oftentimes their level of communication is really isolated or confined to technology. And so many are challenged with how to even have a conversation or express their needs or just be open to differences and the moment to learn. So having said that, to the young professional, I always advise them, you are there to be a sponge. That's number one. Yeah. So always be in observation and learning mode. You're not there to change the organization's mission or their structure or their systems. You are there to then be a contributor and to learn, of course, but keep that at the forefront to make your contribution with the goal of advancing. The main thing that I want them to understand is that you are always being watched, you're always being observed, and you have no idea as to when your next opportunity will present itself. So that is why it's paramount to then start learning and then applying with the goal of mastering executive presence, because they really are fundamental and they will allow you to be successful whatever your career path or design, and we're still mapping that out. So again, go in and start understanding emotional intelligence, being self-aware of where you are emotionally and how that factors. It's not just you in the workplace. There are other people there. There's a level of respect that's understood, congeniality, civility, all of those things. And whatever your triggers may be in which you don't do that well, we need to have an understanding of that and then start learning how to develop those.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the effective communication and then the professional aesthetic. If you start having an understanding as to where you are and then how you want to develop in those areas early on, you are now starting the road or traversing the road to professional success. So we may not know what we want to do next week because Gen Zs will come in 30 days later, I'm out.
Yeah. This
is not for me. But again, how many times are you going to say that? Because our reputation precedes us. And we want to have a good reputation, and it starts now. So start with those 3 pillars is my advice to the young professional, understanding how that applies to you, where you need to develop, and then begin the work. And knowing that we're always a work in progress.
Imagine turning your business into a brand people can't stop talking about. Marketing that matters. The Entrepreneur's Guide to Growth and Success by Corey Holman. It's your blueprint for building unstoppable momentum. This book is packed with innovative ideas, action steps, and game-changing insights that you can use right now. Are you ready to disrupt your industry? Don't wait. Grab your copy now on Amazon and start dominating your market today.
So that's so important. So Dr. Wendy said something, and I just want to reiterate, is that when you're going into a new place, and let's just be honest, we struggle with that, is just going in to be a sponge. And I know we have innovative ways, innovative ideas, and if your leader welcomes it, by all means, you're able to do it. But when you're going in and you're starting off, it's just so important to be a sponge. And I had to learn that. And I'm still learning that. I think the thing is, now I'm at a point where I appreciate the wisdom of those who went before me, and I'm just like, okay, I want to listen. Because I told Dr. Simmons this, I said, if I can learn, because I'm the youngest of my siblings,
Okay.
I can watch people. All I got to do is watch you. If you make a mistake, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to learn from your mistake.
I love that.
Because I don't want to repeat. That's the idea of someone's story is not simply just watching, to critique. No, I'm observing, so I'm learning.
Sure.
And then the other thing is, now, she didn't mention this, but she said this in her class about making sure you have a portfolio everywhere you go. And I carry a portfolio ever since.
Very good. Very good. Let me, if I may, interject. Great points that you've made. And so, in addition to being the sponge,
come on,
what are you going to do? And you said this is how are you going to capture those learning moments? We rely so heavily on our memory. And again, information is just coming at us at a rapid succession. The worst thing that you can do if you're new in a role is to have to come back to your supervisor, whomever is in the teaching space, to help get you situated and get acclimated to that environment, is to come back and say, now tell me what it is that you said last week. Or they find themselves having to repeat. Yeah. Because then you were not playing an active role in your own learning development. So whatever your method is, and the reason of capturing that information so that you can go back and study that information and become learned and knowledgeable about it. The reason I say, and there's been studies that have done that, when you write it down, it helps with the retention process of that information. But if you decide that you want to use your technology, learn the lay of the land and incorporate that. The reason I go with the portfolio, particularly in meetings, and I talk about this in the book, is I don't know what you're doing on the phone in those meetings when you're taking notes. Yeah. You could be checking email. You could be texting. But if you're writing information down, I don't have to, if I see you writing it down, I don't tend to question that. But again, it is your responsibility. You have to take the lead in that process. So another example, I tell people early on when they're entering the role. So in addition to taking really great copious notes about every experience so that you can go back and reference that, is to certainly the learning by observation, but to do check-ins. We all have a probationary period. Yeah. And the worst thing to do is to wait till 2 days before and learn that, you know what, Wendy, you're not the fit that I thought that you were going to be. And so we need to make some decisions. So whether not waiting on HR, your supervisor to tell you how you're doing, but to have some scheduled check-ins. So 30 days in, 60 days in, 90, whatever that probationary cycle is, to go in and just say, just want to get a pulse check, or get a gauge on how I'm performing. Am I meeting your expectations? If I'm falling short of desired deliverables, if you could let me know what they are, so that I can then, at that time, is to then course correct, and not when it's too late. Yeah. So really behaving as if you are already in a leadership role, when in fact you are. You're leading yourself.
That's right.
In addition to that, and we talked about this a little earlier in terms of that, you asked me about what was that key point in my professional life, and I was mentioning an example about how I was looking for all of these things in this one individual. What I tell my clients, because they often may miss this, particularly those new into the workspace, so that we're talking to right now, hopefully a lot of your viewers are just trying to still figure it out. Yeah. And they be new on a job. And with that, we walk in looking for that guide, or may not be even aware that we need someone to guide us. Understanding the difference, and I talk about this when I do training, between a mentor, a coach, and a sponsor. Yeah. Your mentor may not necessarily be in your immediate professional space. Okay. But be out on the lookout for them. Okay. Someone who may be seasoned, not necessarily in age, but in experience.
Dr. Wendy, go ahead.
And who can help guide you, who can be very objective, not tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Yeah. So start looking for those individuals, and they will then help you to kind of map out what is the next. And we want to always look at what's the next, because that helps us to prepare in that moment in order to get there. Yeah. So that's why I think it's absolutely important to have a mentor, and you may have to have multiple mentors, as I encourage people to have. And then, of course, that coach. They're usually you're going to have to come out of your pocket on that one, and they also are helping you to map out whatever it is that we've envisioned that we want for our professional career or our development, and then helping us to take it step by step. So they help us with designing and putting that action plan into place. And then the beloved sponsor, love those individuals, because they are the ones that are speaking our names in rooms that we have yet to stand in. Yeah. So again, about having that great establishing a great reputation, so that we can have those individuals in our life.
And see, okay, so now, and I remember what I was going to say now. So Dr. Wendy just talked about how important it is to look for mentors. You need to invest. You got to invest in a coach, and then making sure, because when you show up right, sponsors just naturally begin to speak your name, right? And so all of those play a key role in getting us to the destination that we're desiring, and also that we're working hard to get to. And so one of the things that I've noticed, and you kind of mentioned this, you have a Gen X, you have your millennials. I'm a millennial. Then you have the Gen X, and you said you didn't want to go to the different generation names, but there is a different trend where you're seeing the Gen X's and is there another generation? It's just Gen X. Okay, she says she don't know. All right, but there's a shift that we're seeing where they're not as invested and stayed in a place.
Yes.
That they're so quick to get to the next destination without staying in it long enough to kind of see, what can I learn from this?
Sure.
Because a lot of times we come in, well, I can't say it because I'm not a Gen X, but I can say as still a young person, we'll come in and we're thinking, okay, I know exactly what I need to get done or how I need to get it done, not necessarily realizing that. And there's a frustration sometimes between the person coming in and the tension of that leader, because you're not realizing the leader has certain things, invisible things to you, that you're not even aware that is kind of like the foundation of why they do what they do.
Sure.
And then you're coming in and you're thinking, okay, no, this is how it should be done. I saw this on LinkedIn. They're doing it over here at Apple. It should be happening right here in my place too. So just thinking about the different generations and how we show up and how it's important to go in, making sure that you are gleaning and you are learning the systems of how things work before you're trying to disrupt it, right? And there are times where you have to sit back, and I'm saying this from experience because I've been in different, from you can talk about it in ministry, you could talk about it in the business sector, you can also talk about when I worked as an employee, when I was a team member in a business, is learning how to navigate coming in, wanting to bring some new ideas, because I'm naturally, because Gen X, they're creatives. A lot of them are very creative. And so where you're used to being able to do a thing a certain way, they're like, okay, I can do this in 5 minutes and do. Not realizing that you can miss some steps.
Sure.
That, like Dr. Wendy said, sometimes things can be, okay, so if we're showing up in a meeting and I'm on my phone and I'm like, okay, I got all my different notes, but your leader is communicating to you and they're expecting their undivided attention, because what I'm sharing with you is very important. And so you're on your phone, and that communicates to me, even though you may be writing notes, that you're not interested, that you're not engaged. And so having that difference of generations is so important, that you are flexible. You're flexible. I know I'm over here preaching now, but you're flexible, and in the simple fact that I don't do things just because I want to do it, but now I'm being flexible to the way my leader wants it to. So I'm gonna give you something. So this is me, just a little pet peeve of mine.
Go.
So, and this is silly, is not that important. So like when you're in a text thread, right? One of my biggest pet peeves is when people just like it. Like when I send a message and they just hit like. I don't know why it does it, because I was taught in my communication to always respond okay.
Sure.
Right? Now, there's nothing wrong with it, obviously, but those are little simple things that I didn't realize, because when I was working and I worked at Chick-fil-A, we had to communicate, like everything we do speaks, right?
Yes.
And so I wanted to make sure in that response, they knew I was fully engaged. Or within that time frame of when my boss sent it, I hit a reply real quick, just to let them know I'm engaged, because I'm on your clock,
Sure.
right? And so those are things that I learned, but that doesn't always translate to the next generation.
Absolutely.
And so have you dealt with some of those things? And
You bring up a good point. I have. And let me tell you why you should absolutely own having a problem with the liking, the thumbs up. The goal is to be an effective communicator. And with just doing a like or an emoji response in your communication, it is very ambiguous.
Yeah.
I don't know quite what that means
Yeah.
as a recipient, as the reader of that information. It could also be viewed as very insulting, and here's why. Because Corey took the time to draft or craft this message to me and fully try to convey as successfully as he could the information that he wanted me to receive.
Yeah.
And my then just very generic response of thumbs up is not a full response in what Corey gave to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then it's left up to, that's why I'm going back to the word ambiguous, it's then left up to interpretation.
Yeah.
Well, what part of it did you like?
Yeah.
Did you like all of it? Did you like the first sentence?
Did you understand it?
There you go. I don't know if you understand it. Are you trying to appease me? Are you done with the... So all of those things, and they then take over what the intended message was. Yeah. So it's the lost in translation just with one simple response. Yeah. This is why I talk about this. I was doing some training and did a series of an 18-module training session over the course of a year and a half. And one of the sole sessions was dedicated to tone and approach. And so much of information is lost because, again, we are instant communication, and so we do a lot of texting. We do a lot of emailing, when it's just simpler to pick up the phone. But we don't want to do that because it's just faster. And a lot of times I really don't want to engage with you at all. In this same training session, I had a gentleman, and I'm still just thrown by this. And he said, Dr. Wilson, can you give me some advice? The organization had been working remote because many people are now having to, states or legislation or people at the helm are saying, you've got to come back to work because so much has been lost working remotely. And they are now, this federal agency is having to move back to face-to-face. Because of this, the gentleman said, I'm working on a project with someone, and I've not heard from the person in 7 months.
Wow.
And we are partners on this project. I'm like, are they still working for the organization?
Wow.
He said, yeah, I know that they are, but they've just not responded. And I said, how have you been communicating with them? He's like, I'm sending them emails. And so my next question was, you tried to pick up the phone. And you would have thought I mentioned something very foreign to him.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I've not thought to call. Yeah. So we've become dependent upon technology, and there's so many advantages to technology. That is absolutely understood. But so much is also lost in that. Yeah. So yes, get in the practice of picking up the phone or going to visit your colleague and walking to them. The president that we have now, Dr. Scott, is absolutely just really great. And so before you know it, you may have sent him a text or he sent you a text, but then I look around and he's at my door. Because it's just, it's easier and it's better. There's no lost in translation if we're having a conversation. And if there is something that has been miscommunication or not understood, then it's just as simple as saying, Corey, I'm not understanding that. Could you further explain? Or could you expand upon that? Or it's my interpretation, as opposed to just relying on the technology.
Wow. So I want to talk about this briefly, and we're going to wrap up this session. And I know, because I don't want Dr. Wendy to share all the gems. I want you to buy her book, and I want you to support her at her masterclass sessions that she'll be doing and her summits that she'll be hosting. But I do want to dive into this because I know a lot of our audience, especially with this, will be women. And they're going to be responding because they look up to you, they value you. that value your expertise. And so what is something you would say to a young woman or who's trying to grow in her career, trying to advance in leadership? What's something that and it can apply to men too. She's going to make sure she does, but but especially I know like the young women, they want to be seen. They want to know that what you're sharing is for them. So
two things: be bold enough to stand out, and I'll give you an example of that momentarily. And then the second thing is, let's just abolish this thought of imposter syndrome. Yeah. I was just speaking with a sorority sister just last evening, and she is so impressive in the higher education space. And she was sharing, we were catching up, and she is in Atlanta, but her organization is in DC. She works remotely. And I have looked up to her and sought her advice. She's been a mentor for me and opened up doors for me. I could go on and on about her. She's telling me about this amazing new opportunity that she has, terminal degree, 30 years of experience. I could go on. And she says, when she shares with me the opportunity, I said, I'm so proud of you and happy for you. I know you're going to be amazing. And she says, yeah, I've been dealing with imposter syndrome. I was livid. Because I'm like, why? Why are you of all people dealing with imposter syndrome? And she said, I started looking at the list of people that I'm going to be training. And these are seasoned professionals. And I said, so are you. And she says, and these are individuals who are, aspiring to be presidents and CEO. And I've not done that. I said, but you sat up close and personal with those individuals. You were their right hand. All the thing that was missing was the title.
Yeah.
So going back to what my mom shared with me earlier on, don't get hung up on titles. And what we don't do in those quiet moments where you and I are retreating on the weekends is that we don't take the time to do a full assessment of our body of work and to celebrate our accomplishments and to celebrate and honor the difficult moments in our career, because they help to build and create who we are to this particular day. So work very hard. Men don't have the imposter syndrome. If you all do, you all don't talk about it that much.
I'll mention something, but go ahead. You're
Okay,
good.
all righty. You all kind of keep that under wraps.
Yeah.
You show up, whether you have all the skills or not. You just, I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. Where we as women always overthink it.
Yeah.
Do I need another degree? Do I need
Yeah.
another training session?
Come on,
Do I
Dr.
need
Wendy.
the 10, 15 years of experience? Just give it a try.
Yeah.
Because what we forget about is a learning curve. We've got to get in it, and we're not going to have everything
Yeah.
that then equates to perfection, and nobody's showing up in these jobs perfect.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. Then the second piece is just boldly attempt to do it anyway. One of the this is in my bio. I talk about it at the opening part of my book. One of my crowning and most proudest achievements is I was instrumental in serving as an executive coach to two individuals who secured positions in the White House as administrators. And one in particular, very brilliant and bright young woman. And she's like, Doc, I don't know if I can we're going to go for this. We are absolutely going to go for this. And so she got to that part where it was neck and neck, she and another candidate. She's like, we just have to wait and see. I said, absolutely not. We're going to go full throttle. And here's the full throttle attempt, is to then go and highlight why you are the best candidate. And that will be their takeaway. And she's like, well, how do we do that? Let's give them a one-pager. And it's going to be just a capsule or synopsis, if you will, as to why you are the ideal candidate. And so let's just highlight your key achievements. Let's give them a 30, 60, 90-day synopsis of what it is you plan to do in the role and how you plan to advance and support the systems and the operations at the White House. Yeah. And we did that, and they came back to her and said, not only do you have the job, but what I was so proud of, they said, and this is the tipping point for you. When you sent this was the game changer for us, because it showed that you had some foresight, that you were thinking as if you were already serving in the role. Wow. And that's what we need. Yeah, as thinkers. So that would be my advice to individuals. Just boldly take the chance, make sure that you prepare and believe that you can do it, and take advantage of that learning curve or that learning opportunity, and abolish the imposter syndrome. Now, you were going to tell me that you have had fleeting thoughts of...
Oh, absolutely, Dr. Wendy, absolutely. No, I definitely have. And I think one of the things is, I think men deal with it too.
Okay.
It may be slightly, obviously slightly different, because I don't know from the woman's perspective. I've only been married 7 years, so I have definitely watched my wife overthink things.
Yeah.
She's working on her dissertation too.
Wonderful.
And, trying to get into that space as well down the road. But so I do watch her overthink things. And so I think naturally men show up in a way where we want to appear strong because we want to lead strong, because we know people are relying on us in our strength in leadership, especially, and one day we're going to empower some more men around here, and we just got to stand up as the leaders that we're supposed to be. But I think the thing is deep down inside, there still are those insecurities, are those moments of, am I good enough for this, right? There are even moments, even standing in this space here, that I had to literally think, am I qualified for this? Am I qualified to even go into the spaces that Innovate Hub is designed? And I still every now and then have those moments. But I think the thing is that what I remind myself is, I didn't come up with this idea. There's a passion that I have for this, because I know, as a man, but also as a leader and an entrepreneur, people need this.
Sure.
And just like Dr. Wendy has written this book to help other people, I stand in the gap to help other people with entrepreneurship, because everyone didn't have Corey's story, right? Everyone didn't have, because in my previous job, I already had relationships with people. People already knew who I was, mostly. They knew of my name, they knew of my character. But so I didn't start off just in the business where it's just that translated, the executive presence of my previous job translated into my business, where immediately people wanted to do business. Now, there were some people that they watch from a distance, right, until to see what's Grace Life, what it's going to become. But eventually, when you're consistent, this is a message for entrepreneurs, when you're consistent, and you keep building beyond the insecurity, beyond the imposter syndrome that we all deal with to some degree. Everyone does it. And I think as we wrap this up, I feel like I'm preaching because we done wrap this up so many times. But reality is that we all deal with it, okay? So I want to encourage you to go ahead and pick up this book, 101 Career Planning and Executive Presence Strategies. You can get it on Amazon, or you can get it at Dr. Wendy's book, W2 Communications. Is there anything else that you would like to share as we wrap this up?
Yes. Don't we have another hour? That's an ask that I have.
Oh.
No, I'm teasing you, but I'm not.
Oh,
no.
okay.
That means invite me back, Corey.
Okay.
No, thank you I want to share that. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Honored to be in this platform. And thank you for highlighting the importance of executive presence. And it's really at the core just the importance of self-development. As one entrepreneur to another, let me commend you for the bold and the brave steps that you have taken. Yeah. When we make those bold steps, the cheer squad gets sometimes silent.
Absolutely.
They get silent. And you're right. I love that you said that you have the people that are just observing from afar. And we can get consumed what is it that they're wishing us? Are they wishing us well? Are they wishing us doom, defeat? But don't become consumed. You can't if your desire is to be an entrepreneur that is making a difference. So I want to take this moment to publicly say thank you for your example and for your modeling what it is to not only gift to your community, but to make decisions and to take steps that will have a legacy impact. Yeah. And we do these things, and it comes at a sacrifice. You know, there's this topic that comes that women oftentimes engage with in terms of can you have it all? And the answer to that is you absolutely can, but you just can't have it all at once. And that is okay. That is absolutely okay. You hopefully have understanding families who are supportive of your dream. I know you have that in terms of your lovely wife and your child. They understand that. So thank you for mirroring to others. Again, I know it's not easy.
Oh, absolutely
It's
not.
not easy. You make it look effortless, though. I just have to say that. So thank you for that. But understanding that it's very nuanced, and I love the word that you said, but it all happens because of a passion that you have. And that's what fuels us on a daily basis.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you all, we are so honored, and thank you again for those
Pleasure.
words. They actually mean more than you realize. So I really am grateful for that.
Thank
You all, thank you so much for tuning in. We are so honored that Dr. Wendy joined our broadcast today. Listen, don't just watch this broadcast and don't purchase her book. Listen, it's on the screen. It's 101 Career Planning and Executive Presence Strategies. And you can visit her website at W2Communications.
W2comms.com.
.com.
And learn about, in addition to the book, but just to also learn about the coaching and the training opportunities that are available.
Absolutely. We'll put that on the screen and make
you.
sure you invest in those career and executive presidents coaching and strategies that she has. And I promise you all, I've seen the fruit. I've seen the fruit of Dr. Wendy in other leaders, and that is the fruit of a good leader, is when you can see it in other leaders being birthed. So thank you again. We'll see you on the next episode. Have a good day.